This is the Agribusiness Report. I'm Tony St. James. We're joined today by Allison Rivera. Allison's with National Cattlemen's Beef Association in the DC office. Allison, it's great to see you.
Absolutely. Happy to join you today.
So let's talk about what's happening with you, because we think of being in the DC office as constantly being busy, except we have this thing that's kind of shut down DC. I know we're reopening, but has that changed your work and your role much?
I think that the only change that we've really seen is, unfortunately, a lot of our meetings are virtual, but we are making it happen. We obviously had our summer business meeting for NCBA in person in Denver, and that went very well. The Public Lands Council is holding their meeting as we speak, and they have a virtual component, but they certainly had a good crowd in Salt Lake City. So, a lot of the agency meetings are having to be a little virtual, but other than that, I think business as usual around here, and certainly we have been very busy.
So let's talk about a few other things that you're focused on. Let's start with the transportation issue. If you don't mind, we know that has been a challenge in the past, and it's probably been highlighted a little more since the coronavirus outbreak. Where are we on transportation issues?
I think one of the ways we were able to, as consumers, if I can take my NCBA hat off for a second, to make sure that there was food on the grocery store shelves, I think our haulers of all kinds of goods really did have to step up during COVID, and we tip our hats to them. But specific to livestock haulers, one of the things that we really worked on during COVID is we continued to express to DOT how important flexibilities are for our livestock haulers. So one of the things that we worked on during the pandemic with DOT, one of those flexibilities they gave us was through an emergency declaration on hours of service. We had to go month to month with them, lifting the hours of service restrictions so that our drivers could pivot if they got to a facility and they weren't able to offload and had to move to a different facility. And so I think what they saw through that period over the last 6 months is that our safety was still top notch, and we were making sure that those grocery store shelves stayed full of beef. The beauty is that during that process, this last go round, DOT decided to extend that hours of service declaration until December 31st. That's huge. 30 days to 30 days was a little bit difficult, but giving us that longer extension so that we can make sure the grocery store shelves are full has been very, very helpful.
One of the other things that I guess, has been highlighted as well is our dependency upon that supply chain, if you will. And with that, concerns about what would happen if we had an outbreak of FMD. Seeing some of the problems we had with our supply chain and the bottlenecks, has that been able to work its way back into the conversation?
I think just talking about a global pandemic, that is on the human side, but when we talk about the ability to feed ourselves and to feed the world, and we talk about foreign animal disease, it all kind of comes together. And obviously, African swine fever has still been percolating through this whole global pandemic, and so that has always been out there as far as concerns about that coming into the U.S. I think that this pandemic has honestly shown just how important it is to that we're cognizant and we're on the ready for whether it's foreign animal disease or human disease. So I think that the conversations on FMD continue to be important, keeping our borders protected and making sure that we have the funding that we need for the inspectors at the borders to make sure that nothing is getting through. And so I think as we talk and we continue to work on the foot and mouth disease vaccine bank, it's more prevalent and more important now than ever. And I think as we've seen USDA implement the FMD bank from this last farm bill, I think you're really seeing the work move forward, and we could not be happier.
I'm so glad you said that, because that's the last question for you. We're implementing a farm bill, but it's really time to start talking about the next farm bill, isn't it?
Absolutely. When I think about the 2023 to 2028 Farm Bill, it's a little crazy to think all the way that far out. But honestly, members of Congress have said, if we hadn't run into this pandemic, we would have already been having those preliminary hearings on the House and Senate side on the next Farm Bill. Those conversations have already started. As NCBA, we have already started meeting to talk about our strategy for the next Farm Bill and what those priorities are going to look like. Some of the ideas that we're obviously throwing out, conservation is going to continue to be a priority. So taking a look at the conservation programs and figuring out what priorities we have and what we need moving forward. Also, how much more funding do we need for the FMD bank? This last time around, we didn't get all the funding that we asked for, so we're going to continue to work with USDA and APHIS to figure out what needs they have to continue that bank and to make it more robust. Also, just continuing to look at foreign animal disease and what programs we have or we need to put into place to continue to protect our herds.
And I think one more in here is the concern of funding. With the amount of money that's been put into the CARES Act and into ag, and not debating that at all, but with that amount of money, will there be concerns about finding enough money to write the next bill as well?
I think that's unfortunately going to always be a concern, especially for agriculture. I mean, we're always talking about the lack of research funding in the agricultural space, and that's always tough conversation. I think we saw a battle last time for the funding for the three-legged stool, which the FMD bank is part of, the diagnostic labs as well as animal preparedness. We have been a very huge part of that animal preparedness panel that was put together to decide where those dollars are going to go to, and we continue to push that they go towards the cattle industry. But I think it is going to be another uphill battle, but one that we're ready for.
Allison, so great to see you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
We wish you the best.
Absolutely.
Allison Rivera with National Cattlemen's Beef Association in Washington, D.C. I'm Tony St. James. It's the Agribusiness Report.